Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo. Hopefully this is a audio problem free version. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry Channel, and with me tonight are our minions Serenity Star 13.
Hello.
SkepTock.
Hi everybody.
DrFunctional.
Yo.
And a festive Sora Luna.
Hello.
Maybe I should be festive. Should I be festive? Let's see.
Tis the season.
'Tis the season. Okay, here we go.
It's a very flamboyant flamingo.
He's going to change it to the snowflake.
I've always
Got
wanted
a
to say the
jaunty
phrase.
chapeau. There we go. Okay, well, how's everybody doing today?
Lovely. Awesome.
Not dead yet.
You doing okay, Serenity?
Oh yeah, I'm doing good, but now I have to change mine to something Christmassy too, so we're just gonna do that real quick. But anyway, no, I'm good. There we go.
Okay. How about you, Functional? You doing okay?
Pissed off.
Oh,
Well, hey, if I lived in Canada, Stan, like you did, I'd be pissed off too.
You know why I'm pissed off, but the people.
You've
the
got good
people
reason to be pissed off.
Don't know why I'm pissed off because there's been a complete media blackout. There's been a social media scrub of what's been going on in New Brunswick, one of our provinces. In Moncton today, there was a huge demonstration, basically almost like, I think it was like 80% of the population of Moncton, New Brunswick, which isn't that big, but 80% of a city, like the citizenry, like it's pretty massive. They were out in demonstration, peaceful demonstration, just a long march against the COVID lockdown and vaccination mandates that are basically, they're trying to push it through, that say you cannot leave your house if you are not vaccinated. So they're starting to mimic Australia, and these people came out pro, anti-jab all together to say, no, these mandates, that's tyranny. We will not stand for this. And there's been a complete media blackout, except for the one thing I managed to find, to show to Harry and other people that this actually happened, was an RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, bulletin saying that there was a police action, heavy sarcasm there, in the heart of Moncton, and that they were the police were closing off that area, and to not come down there. And then that was it. No reason why, no news stories why, or hey, how about even just the news? This happened. Nothing. And it's scary, terrifying, and just really got my blood boiling today. So I decided to just make it a nice artistic day and just paint. Just escape in some painting. Because that's at the end of the day, that's all I could do is like tell people, hey, this shit is actually going on, and then just live my life.
Are you working in oils, watercolors? What media are you working in?
All sorts of different media. Primarily acrylics, water-based acrylics. Use some inks and oils just to sort of mix it up a bit. For anybody who's familiar with Monday nights with Inquisitor, I play the same game, Warhammer 40k, and I paint these models. And
so when you paint pictures, do you put the macaroni on the paper first and then paint it?
And then paint over the macaroni.
Then,
you have to,
and
because
then glue
the glue has
macaroni.
to set. The glue has to set. You have to paint over the glue. You don't want big blobs of glue. I've also done, things on like canvas and stuff, but canvas is expensive. And, just to muck around with something you're not going to be making money off of. Whereas with the models, I actually do make some money. It's not a lot, but I do make some money. Occasionally painting or printing off transfers or doing design work for people who want stuff.
Yeah. Are people, well, actually, we should probably save this for like a conversation with Quiz. How's your day today, Skep?
It's been fine. It's the day after you get a booster shot, and so I seem to need to run through, a few hours of the flu, and that's just what happens. And I'm starting to feel better, and that always buoys my mood and makes me forget about the black-hearted cynicism that normally characterizes my thought.
Well, that's good. So we're a pretty it's going to be really sad if I'm the most upbeat person here, but I think Sora's the most upbeat person. We'll see.
She usually is.
She had to eat glass several times, so she was very happy.
Is the glass half full today, Sora?
It is. I feel bad for having a good day.
Wait,
I didn't check.
what is this about eating glass, Sora?
Oh, I'm sorry. In our zombie video game that we play, which is the games with the pictures on the computer of the internet, we one of the ways to kill yourself is to eat glass, and it's excellent because if you're hungry or thirsty or you have a broken leg, you can reset all of that by eating glass.
You know, we used to eat glass when I was in college. That was popular. I'm not joking. I'm not even joking a little bit. I was in a fraternity. I was in a fraternity in college. Are you just listen to the story, because eating glass, I never get to talk about my glass eating days. There was a guy named Tim Rosevich. He was also a Sigma guy, and he was a professional football player. Rosevich was a tough guy, and he used to go into bars and break bottles of beer, either on the bar or on the floor, and then commence to eating the glass. And he shared at one of the Sigma Chi confabs the secret to the glass eating. And so we all tried it and got really good at it. What you do basically is you eat the glass, you make sure you crush every tiny piece, and then you swallow the glass. That's how responsible a college student I was. But yeah, so when you talked about eating glass, I just had to bring that up, that I at one time had a nice diet of silicon dioxide.
I'm glad nothing bad happened and you had no perforated bowels or something like that.
Yeah, no, I was so smart. I was so irresponsible.
That's such a college thing to do, though. It's not even.
Secrets of long life with SkepTock.
I haven't talked about
alrighty
that in
then.
years and years. All right,
Harry,
here we go.
Just to make you aware that cut off at Eaton. It didn't.
Yeah, I
finish.
saw that. I thought that was pretty funny.
Okay, just making sure. I was like, Harry.
We do not endorse.
No, there's a way to do a subtitle. I can make this work. I have all kinds of new technology to play with. All right.
Yeah.
So the first thing that pissed me off today is this.
The first thing.
The first thing. Okay, let's see. Let's make sure you can actually hear the audio from this thing.
Country. Yeah.
Chicken nugget croquembouche.
Yeah. Well, you know what a croquembouche is, right? A croquembouche is this thing, which is basically
profiterole mountain.
It's a beautiful tower made out of profiteroles, which are these little fried bits of goodness. And then you drizzle caramel over the top of it, and it's just this wonderful thing.
Beautiful.
Yes,
but
it is.
Instead,
Till you get blasphemy with what looks like Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those are chicken nuggets.
No, here's the chicken nuggets.
Oh no.
Ew. Why is it always a blonde white?
Yeah, it's Chick-fil-A. I knew it was Chick-fil-A. I knew it.
Oh.
Like, I don't understand.
And then
They're
the single
flat enough you can stack them. You don't have to pitchfork them into the freaking styrofoam. You dumb bitch.
For when you huff your farts and a tray is not enough.
Yep, there we go.
Oh, and they put little bows on the on the dipping sauce.
Good Lord.
Oh, God.
That's the meaning of Christmas right there.
Woo!
It's like another one of these things where you've done nothing. You have done nothing. All you've done is take one food and change its shape. You've done nothing.
I'll give it this. It's an interesting display, but it's so overly
Lazy.
pretentious. It just, what's the point?
I mean,
Like,
she's adorable in her
I've done
little
fruit
Santa
sculpting.
pajamas.
I just want to hurt her.
Well, the thing
In
is,
my career of doing catering, I've done fruit sculpting. Like I sculpted a dragon because it was a wedding couple. They were really into Game of Thrones. I wanted to do something cool, so I did this dragon out of fruit. But that's like cool. This is just why.
What's
Yes.
She didn't even make
that's-
the chicken nuggets herself. Like could let it go a little bit if she made them herself, but she.
Or
No, she
power
didn't-
she didn't do
skewers,
that.
like, but again, what's the point? A tray could do just as well, and you're not really adding anything to it. I don't think. I mean,
No, you're adding nothing. I guess it's supposed to make people feel good about being creative during the holidays. It's stupid.
What?
So I'm subjected to this, right? This is just a stupid little throwaway thing. And then the next thing I run into is this. Sunfish. Fucking sunfish shows up again.
Yay!
Sunfish.
You know,
Nature's
I'm
mistake.
minding my own business here on the internet, and then suddenly, look at
God
that.
went fuck
big-
you.
The sunfish was
Stupid
minding
fish.
his own business.
Look at
I
it.
don't know what anybody else thinks.
Look at that.
Sunfish. Does this sunfish look like Rashida Tlaib?
It looks like it belongs on the short bus, but it got so big that it kicked it off.
It is the short
He's
bus.
minding his own business. Being a
It is the
weird
short bus. Very good.
The
blobfish. thing.
giant sea pugs.
Yeah. So I look for support from my friends online. And what does Sora do? But then she sends me this.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Flushing
Yes.
Yeah, so you
It's
could
so
go
cute.
on,
Look
on
at it.
Etsy.
It's lovely. It's
Look at him.
handmade.
Love
They
it.
Yeah.
make, she
Look
makes
how
a
Hey,
happy it
I
is.
want that whale.
Yes, she makes a sperm
Does it
whale.
come in blue?
Probably not well.
All
It
hail
comes
blue
in whale.
She makes. Oh, she
See,
makes.
I want that whale.
She makes.
That's
well,
a
they
blue
make-
whale. That's not a sperm.
You don't get a whale,
Oh,
you just get a
sperm.
sunfish. That's what you get.
It could actually be a
Okay,
right whale.
sunfish eat jellyfish. Don't be hating on the sunfish.
They
Okay.
they eat the jelly. That's nice.
They eat the jellyfish. And
Well,
jellyfish
there's a short list of things that kind of drive me insane. One of them is Elizabeth Holmes, and hopefully we'll have some news about her next week. The Theranos woman, because her trial is just about done.
good.
There's the sunfish, and then there's
Are
people
they on
making
trial?
stupid food on the internet.
So we were 2 for 3.
I live to find you fun things about the sunfish now.
Hey, all
Her
I can say
life
about the
has taken
sunfish-
new meaning.
Is at least it's not the damn football fish, because that thing sucks even more.
Oh, was he?
That was the nightmare fuel one with the glowing claws.
Oh yeah, that thing. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
no,
thing was awesome.
Even I
Yeah.
don't touch that.
That's a Cthulhu minion right there. That's a shout off.
All right. Well, okay, so these are things that just mildly annoy me. Now, this was something that one of you sent. I think it was you, Serenity, that sent this to
Probably.
me. Was it you?
I'm gifted.
CNN
Yeah.
producer arrested, accused of
That
raping children
dumpster
as young as
fire.
9.
Let's just
Oh
add
my
more.
Would you
fuck-
care to tell us about this?
Not really, but I will.
Just a little.
Well,
So-
this,
Shrink it a bit, Harry.
Well, hold on. Let Serenity
Yeah.
go.
So, as the title displays, there a new terrible thing for CNN is that a producer there has been accused of R-ing a 9-year-old. Now, the thing that makes this even more interesting is that he worked a lot with Chris Cuomo. Like, there's actually, if you scroll down the article, there's actually like Instagram posts from Chris and him there. And it's just, oh god,
What's the little doll for? Is that where he likes to show where he likes to touch the kids?
that's the Pope because they're
gross.
watching the Pope in the background,
Oh, okay.
which is
That adds a whole
the-
level to
the
my
irony
sarcasm.
of
Yeah.
the Catholicism thing. Yeah, but it's just, oh my god, it's another piece of trash in the dumpster fire that is CNN. That's all I got at this
All
point,
right.
'cause they
So,
just-
so what were you going to say, Skep?
oh,
oh no, I was just going to ask you to adjust the.
Oh,
the
it's
image
kind
so
of
I could
off
see
the
it.
sides a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's off to the side.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I suck. Let me
No,
fix
you
that.
don't.
No, no,
stop
no.
it.
I just you don't suck. It's just
Mhm.
the image is mostly clear, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
There you go. Very good. Perfect.
but
We
yeah,
wouldn't want to miss his little pedophile feet. Okay.
Jeez.
So what is it
so
about,
much wrong with that picture?
What is it about these progressives in general, with man, I don't believe in the QAnon stuff, but I can totally see where it's easy to spin a narrative about these people, considering how many creeps there are in their midst.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like it's this dude. It's Cuomo getting caught talking to his brother when he shouldn't have been talking to his brother about certain things. It's Don Lemon getting caught. Well, not getting caught, but at first owning up to the fact that he was talking to Juicy Smollett. It's just like, how many other like.
And don't forget rubbing his ball stank on people.
Yeah, I was trying to, because that's still an alleged, apparently.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things where it's kind of like CNN, what the fuck? Like, okay, the terrifying, there's two terrifying thoughts. The least terrifying one is that they don't like check these people out before they hire them. The most terrifying one is that they check these people out and then still hire them. So I don't know which one's like, both are not good ideas, like good thoughts to have, but it's like and people have, and even like Gutfeld at Fox News has brought this up. He's like, if this was a Fox News reporter, it would be just 24/7, not shutting the hell up about it. But because it's CNN, no one's saying a word, except for stuff like Zero Hedge and stuff like that.
You know, it's an interesting thing. There were always people like this.
Oh yeah,
there have always been creepazoids like this asshole, and there've always been creeps like the like Chris Cuomo and Andrew Cuomo, spoiled little rich kids who never had to work for anything, and you see where that lands. The thing of it is that we are all agents of the press these days. Everybody with a YouTube account or a Twitter account or a Facebook account can bring you the news. I mean, if you think about it, that's what Lords of the Night did for so long. That's what Harry's show does. Yeah, and what happens is, I know it seems like because CNN takes it easy on itself, when its bad guys come to the fore, it seems like the news is suppressed, but actually what we're seeing and probably reacting to is the fact that more of this stuff is getting exposed, because when there are so many reporters, when you have 50 million or 100 million reporters in the United States, for example, basically, when you're talking social media, that's the kind of numbers you're talking about. When you have that many reporters, you're going to get a lot of stuff out there on the internet. I think a very interesting change is happening in the way we perceive the world around us. And we were accustomed to seeing it through the eyes of NBC and ABC and CNN and so forth, Uncle Walter Cronkite, all that jazz. Now we're going to see it closer to firsthand. We're going to go out and get the information ourselves. And people are whining about it right now, saying, it's hard to get just the news that the news I want to get. But that's just a growing pain. I think it's going to redound to the good long term. I really do. I
think it already has.
Yeah, the one thing about this is that it kind of fills me with a sense of optimism, which is almost an entirely alien feeling for me, and about the future, is that everybody is able to go out, see what the facts are, report the facts, report their opinions about the facts, and exchange information about the facts with other people. And they don't instead of the one-way communication from CNN on high or ABC or CBS on high, the one-way broadcasting, this is what you must believe. Now we're able to push back a little bit. That's not a bad thing.
I agree with you. The civilian capacity for surveillance and being able to record at a moment's notice.
Oh yeah,
events as they happen. We saw that with the protests, with channels like Eyes On, and most notably, just recently with Kyle Rittenhouse. Without that video, of those two protesters who had the two main video. I'm not talking about the FBI video or the other video surrounding it, but those two main videos, you see clear as day what happened. Save that kid from jail, I believe, because there would have been that narrative media push to discredit his claims versus the other claims of the prosecution on what happened. But here we have video, see it plain as day. And I do hope that it does become better, because when you put that amount of power, and it is power, in the hands of the common person, sure, it could be misused every now and then, which it has been. But for the most part, we see more good happening. That's why we wanted to have police and other authority figures with body cams. Because then we, we as society, as the population, can look at that footage and go, well, yeah, we see plain as day what happened. Done.
Yeah.
And the media is scrambling. They're so terrified that Johnny Come Lately can whip out his phone and get better coverage of a story than they can. That terrifies these people, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
They would love to be able to control it and put the genie back in the jar, but I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
Well, the next thing is more fun. Does anybody else want to chime in on this before we switch?
He's got such a punchable face.
Sounds like just a little palate cleanser, since we were talking about the R word here.
Yeah. You know, the sad thing is that lady does not have insurance on that car, and she's an entrepreneur. I just felt terrible about that.
Yeah.
How did the bear get in?
She left the door unlocked, and bears will.
Yeah, here's the
Bears
bears
are smart.
Totally open your
in
door.
the car.
They will totally open your door.
And it looks like she left food out on the driver's side seat.
Yeah,
Dumb.
the bears got in, and then they couldn't figure out how to get out. And so Mama Bear was outside waiting for them.
Oh
no!
Yeah, these were two cubs that were inside.
Yeah, so they had to basically call the police to open the door.
Oh no!
Policeman
Do
was
not mess with the mama bear.
We're in trouble, aren't we,
look
Mom?
at them.
Yes, you're in
There's
trouble.
stupid
there's
neighbor.
the only thing that happened good for this lady was that she didn't get hurt.
Mhm.
And the other thing that was good was the policeman hit her car with his car.
Because now the county has to pay for it.
They might have to pay for some of it.
Yeah, at least.
And
What's like-
where's
So was
Is this in
you think that was
California?
an intentional?
This is Southern
drive
California.
So we can
No. What you can see exactly what happened, Sora. The patrolman went up, and he pulls the door open just a little bit, runs back to his car, right? So, because he does not want to confront the bear directly, runs back to his car. He's backing up his car, and the bear decides to get out at that moment. That's how.
Two bears.
Yeah,
two
two
bears.
the two bear cubs got out.
juveniles?
Yeah, it's great stuff.
And
So-
well, it's
I love
amazing
that.
that
I
he
love
did
that.
that instead of just blasting.
Well, how dumb and or privileged is this woman that she thinks it's okay to leave her car unlocked?
in Southern California.
Well, the door was closed, but it was unlocked. She's not
With
in
no
one of the bad
insurance.
parts of California, but still, it's like, no.
Like, can you have
People
no car
forget.
insurance in Southern California and still drive?
Not
What's that?
technically.
What did you say? What did you say?
Well,
Serena?
I was asking whether or not, because I know,
Insurance mandates.
yeah, at least here in West Virginia, you cannot drive if you don't have insurance. Now, mind you, that doesn't.
You have to
No,
have
no, no.
liability.
Yeah,
No, liability
you
is
have to
all
have
that you're
liab-
required to cover.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to have.
You don't have to have
have
comprehensive.
Yeah.
No, I got all
and,
that.
and she had comprehensive, but it's not covered. This is an act
Yeah.
of nature. This is
Yeah, I can
yeah.
tell you.
Yeah. Bears damaging your upholstery, oddly, was not listed as one of the
Well, yeah.
things that was
I didn't buy the bear rider again.
Yeah, damn it.
Real,
I know-
realistically, she could just have somebody find some seats that could get pulled from
Yeah.
the same. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah, no problem.
it's not that big a deal. She's just kind of being a whinger. But
Yeah.
I think it's funny that people who live in places that are so close
Very
to
much.
wild animals but don't know how to live near wild animals.
Mm-hmm.
This is the disconnect. It's like
Well,
Yeah.
nature's fine. Nature does stuff. Deer get in your yard, bears show up, raccoons can get in your house. I have been called by friends who live in places for skunks getting in the house, snakes getting in the house. I got called once because a bunch of raccoons got in a friend's house and they needed help shooing the raccoons out. This is just my life.
Mhm.
You know,
Well,
but this woman should not live there if she doesn't know to lock her damn car.
speaking of the not knowing where to live, so here in North Van, it's a huge bear population, and a lot of people insist on having fruit trees in their backyard.
Sorry.
Without fail, there's going to be every summer, into autumn, you're going to have a bunch of stories about Mrs. So-and-so freaking out because there's Yogi Bear in her backyard trying to climb her apple tree or her cherry tree or her like little sapling of a something that has a little bit of fruit, pear trees or whatever it is that they'll have. Yeah, no kidding. They're starting to bulk up. And
They
people
gotta get
are
those
like,
gains.
it's and because they don't want to do density in the actual city, they're spreading up more up and up the mountains with like single family homes, which is its own conversation. But then people are surprised that bears will come into their backyard. What are we gonna do? Well, maybe don't. Like, I'm sorry you have a nice garden and you probably want to have some fruits and vegetables, but guess what's gonna come every single year if you plant those? Your neighbors, the grizzly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I live in the boonies, and like I don't leave my car unlocked. It's like, what are you people
Do
doing?
you leave Chick-fil-A Christmas trees on your passenger seat and then leave the door unlocked?
No, but we do leave the pumpkins for the bears after Halloween. And,
That's
and
nice.
Well,
Yeah.
that's just
That's
they
nice.
like them. They like them. They're happy.
I know
It-
our city
Well, anyway,
will freak out
this
the
woman
second
will-
a coyote shows up.
this woman will learn to hopefully lock her door after this. So here's something even worse, and hopefully I can just point this out and run. YouTube's Rewind Replacement is a live stream event called Escape 2021.
Oh no.
BTS, Doja
Blech.
Cat, and YouTube stars are taking part in the interactive 24-hour event. YouTube might have
Okay.
ditched the annual Rewind series, but it's still planning to send off the year in style. Style should be in quotes. An interactive 24-hour live stream event called Escape 2021 will take place on December 16th. Using the
Kill me
live
now.
chat, users will participate in challenges based on trends from that year, get involved in real-time experiences, and answer trivia questions as Adweek notes.
This
When viewers
seems like
complete
a
all
very
of the-
bad idea.
It is,
Well, the
but they
entire
got rid of
chat
the
will be-
dislike button. They got
The
rid of the
entire
dislike
chat-
button, so now they can do this.
The entire chat window will just be message removed by moderator.
Yeah.
Like the thing is, K-pop fans are toxic as hell.
Mm-hmm.
They make every other, like, legitimately, they make almost every other fan
That's what
base except
happens
for
when you have
one of the
bad
one I
taste.
will not name look sane. So it's like, and the BTS fans are the worst because BTS, as someone who's listened to K-pop since the early 2000s, BTS is not that good of a group. But
Oh, they're a
still-
K-pop group.
yeah, they're K-pop.
I thought they were a Bachman Turner.
No, no,
No.
but worldwide, they're very big, and YouTube
Yeah.
isn't just a U.S.
Randy
company.
Bachman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and the thing is like, but still, like, the K-pop fans, like, if they do not get enough time, if they get cut off by a millisecond, if anything, the BTS fans will raise hell and just destroy everybody else's stuff.
Oh no, not the K-pop fans.
Do you think they'll start synchronized shopping?
They may, because they like some of the shit some K-pop fans have done is toxic as hell. Like they've like crashed
Oh.
websites for not agreeing with their point
Oh.
of view.
But look,
I-
Mark Rober's going to be there, and
Ugh.
A. Christine X Games, and
I have
Usilex, whatever
no
the
idea.
hell that is.
Harry, I
Generals,
don't think the
Marvel runs.
K-pop kids will be staging any flash robs. If that's
Lo-fi girl.
You select.
What the? I don't know
I
who
have
these people are.
I have heard of
Really?
Mark Rober and Lo-Fi Girl, and that's all I've heard of. All the rest of them are.
I've never heard of any.
So I love the Lo-Fi Girl. That's a
Yeah.
live stream Lo-Fi
Yeah.
like hip hop.
That stuff
music
that's
stream.
that's not too bad, but the
I'd
rest
rather
of it
have
is like,
hi-fi.
Oh,
I mean,
is
like,
that the
she-
shit
she's
that I
an
just can't get away
animation.
yeah, it's on
out
every
of my
YouTube
recommended
watch page. Yeah, the
Like I
recommended
do not
page.
want this channel
Nope.
It's an audio
It's there.
sunfish. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's an audio sunfish. Because there's like 8 different, like there's like millions of different like versions of it. Like there's a
Yeah,
Star
yeah.
Wars one where it's Ahsoka Tano. Like there's
Yeah,
so
one of my
many
favorites
different
is
versions.
Primetime Thanatos, which is just synthwave. I can put that in
Yeah.
the background while gaming or something. Yeah, no, I totally respect those channels. It's just, you know.
Not that one. That specific.
No, but I
one.
mean,
Well,
it's not about the person behind the channel. So why are they a featured? It just doesn't make sense. Making no sense.
Well, YouTube has a long history of not knowing what fans want with YouTube Rewind.
Oh,
Now
boy,
they've just changed the name, got rid of the dislike button, and they're trotting this new thing out.
And made
Yeah,
it a
but
live
it's like-
stream.
But the dislike button is still in the code for the website because they're too lazy to remove the code, so you can get an extension for it.
Oh, that code is disappearing. That it's disappearing.
It will, yeah.
All of that backend API stuff will be gone by the time this is on the air. I think it's like 2 days before it's going to disappear. So that extension will not work in a few days.
YouTube, you suck.
Oh,
Yeah,
bugger.
poopy.
Oh, you're talking about the dislike revealer? Because I went out and got that too.
Yeah, at least for now, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it'll
that
be
week
gone.
it was the most downloaded app extension.
Yeah.
It just exploded.
It's a
Yeah.
middle finger to the YouTube. Fuck you. I'll give
I
you
like
some-
Odyssey's splash page. It says we have dislikes.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
It's good.
Although it's still funny to listen to YouTubers whinge about their dislike ratio, even though the people watching the channel can't see it.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you dislike my stuff? I can't see it, motherfucker. What are you talking about?
Mostly when I take the time to like or dislike something, there's an investment there on my part. I like this channel enough to tell the creator, wow, this was a great video, great stream, I'm thumbs upping. Or,
Mhm.
you know what, this was a departure from your regular content or something like that, that I really didn't like this video, dislike. It's not to say, like, there seems to be this automatic assumption that you're going to the extreme and saying, oh, the dislike, well, this person thinks you're the most horrible channel. No, it just means, you know what, normally I like your stuff, but I actually want to let you know as the channel creator, hey, I didn't like this one so much.
Well, a lot of creators are constantly asking people, what do you want from me? What would you like to see?
Yeah.
What don't you want to see anymore? At least definitely in the brain candy stuff I watch, like the lifestyle, home improvement,
yeah.
makeup stuff. They're constantly doing this. And
My hobby stuff too, yeah.
Sometimes like I don't particularly like it when I love watching like vlogs, diaries and that kind of stuff, but I don't necessarily want it in the main channel of a creator. And if one of the main ways that they engage with their audiences is just the dislike because they don't use the community tab or they don't put up polls on Instagram or something like that, of which I don't really follow many on Instagram. That's the best way for me to say, oh, actually, I don't want to watch this from you. I'm going to stop watching your channel because, and then of course, leave a comment. So this is so silly. It just doesn't make any sense, but it's more, it's not for the regular creator. It's for anything that they're bringing in, right? Because they just don't want to have
Yeah, it's
people
for
think that
Hollywood,
nobody-
mainstream media.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, it's too bad.
They're sick of seeing
No
all
spine.
the dislikes that people can see how much people hate the new Ghostbusters. Well, not new, but new
I was gonna say,
previous Ghostbusters, 2016 Ghostbusters, whatever.
Yeah.
Or that new Seth Rogen movie. Like,
oh God,
those are the
Sandy.
people who are getting pissed off.
Oh,
my
Santa
God, look at all the
Inc. or
dislikes.
whatever it's
like,
called.
No, this is real time audience feedback. You
Yeah.
dumb MFers. I'm trying to be better with my language.
Is not market research one of the crucial aspects of YouTube, right? Because
Ideally.
ads and people who provide money from different sources like that's how they're getting the revenue from.
They hire people just to do
Sponsorships for
that.
people. Well, okay, let's talk about the small content creator or medium-sized content creator. They get sponsorships, right, from people. How is someone who wants to say, like a vitamin company or whatever, wants to sponsor somebody? Well, on the outset, unless they go to that creator and say, can you please give me a screenshot of your back end so I can see your actual engagement? How are they going to find out if that particular creator is not a part of a group, marketing group, or whatever it is that they do here on YouTube.
Multi-channel network.
Well, there's
That's
different ways. There's different ways they actually do that, and when you don't have good fidelity looking into the data of the channel, you don't go with eyeballs. You go with click-throughs. So what they do, this is why when Jeremy talks about Manscaped / the quartering to get 25% off or whatever, anything like that. So they'll basically just get paid on click-throughs.
Something that I noticed about this Escape 2021 thing. Can you go down to where it says what languages they'll be?
It was Japanese,
Broadcasting in?
Korean, French,
Yeah.
and Spanish.
What's interesting there is not what's printed there. What's interesting is what's missing. What language is missing?
Chinese.
Mandarin.
Chinese. Chinese is not there. Even
Indonesian is so random. Why is YouTube that big in Indonesia?
No, Indonesia is that big. You don't realize how many people live in Indonesia. It has a population density like Bangladesh.
Oh,
and it's a good sized little country.
Well, like if you go down like the actual nicer side of like desk makeovers and stuff like that, a lot of them are from Indonesia. Because they'll talk about different shops that they use, and they're a shop that you can't get access to here. So there's actually a lot of them who speak English, or at least can write in English, who get a lot of traffic. Like they're like desk overhaul or desk renovation or whatever.
Those really cutesy things, like how I set up my iPad and all the aesthetic. Oh, I love those. I didn't realize those are
a lot of them are Indonesian. A lot of them are. Some of them are Korean. Not many of them are Japanese. The Japanese still aren't too keen on posting on YouTube because they have their own thing. They always have. But Indonesia, Indonesia, Brazil, and Portugal have a lot larger fan base for YouTube than people realize. Like, it's massive. Like, they tried to push Brazil for years at this point on YouTube.
I'd be curious to see Skep, because they have their own version of YouTube in China. I'd be interested to see if they do a good comrade, good members of party of YouTube kind of awards show with their own.
There are almost as many Chinese speakers living outside of China as there are people in Japan.
Yeah, it's the most spoken language.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that they did not that they couldn't be
translated for.
Well, no, not that they couldn't be translated. I think it was a policy decision. I think they said, China's going to be a little bitch about letting us into their country. We'll be little bitches too. I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, because YouTube's still blocked. The only place you can get YouTube around the block for their internet providers is Shanghai. I think it used to be it was just Shanghai. It might be Shenzhen now too as well, but because of how international they are. But like Shanghai was the only place you could get Twitter easily. It was the only place you could get YouTube without getting yourself marked, basically. But yeah, no, it's China is asshole.
Well, wouldn't they need to do Mandarin and Cantonese?
No, because it's mostly
Cantonese is 20%.
Yeah,
and Mandarin's 80%.
Well, 20% of a very large number is still
a large number. 20% of a billion is a lot.
But it's also mostly Hong Kong, and you know what that's like. Right
well,
now.
it's Hong Kong and Guangzhou and a few other places, but it's seen as the lesser language by the government, I guess is the best way to put it. So they don't.
What is
Cantonese?
Oh, Cantonese. It's considered not lesser. It's considered to be older.
Well, they push for Mandarin to be the main one.
Yes, Mandarin is the modern new language. It's where all the development is done. It's where they've done all the work on making the pronunciation make a little more sense than it used to.
Yeah.
There's also Fusionese, and there's a whole bunch of dialects.
There's a zillion
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Chinese
Assassin-
dialects. It goes on and on and on.
Assassin's pissed off. There's no Esperanto. Like,
Well, there's
not
no
only that,
pigeon
there,
either.
there
No
are
pigeon.
variations. There are variations of Mandarin that, and you think, well, it's got to be like a Southern accent. Somebody from the northern United States could understand somebody's from Georgia, right? No, it's not like that. They have different words. They have different words. They have different emphasis, different, fundamentally different things, and they still call that Mandarin. And so when they talk about the fact that there are 119,000 pictographs total, and that the average master's degree completing student in China knows roughly 12 to 13,000 of those, for 1/10 of all the ones that are out there. Part of the reason for that is because the language is so far flung. There are pictographs that are used in one part of the country that are not used in another part of the country and would be completely foreign to somebody who'd never seen them before, which is very common in China. Anyway,
Anyway,
a little bit of linguistic anthropology.
as much as I hate China, I mean, I love the sound of Mandarin. I'm a huge fan of Chinese and mostly Hong Kong film, and I think that their language, just auditorily, very beautiful languages.
well, weirdly, in something like Tai Chi Zero, Tai Chi Hero, like an H Brothers production, the Mandarin sounds fine. Whenever there's any kind of anime thing that's in Mandarin, it sounds like somebody's shoving a dental drill into my ear.
It's a weird thing in China. They have they're weird all around.
You can say something like "Ni de piku huan hao." Now that sounds like a very beautiful, thing to say. But what I just said was, "Lady, you have a nice ass," and I cleaned it up.
Yeah.
What
That's
I'm
a
saying is
beautiful
that
thing, Cap.
it sounds beautiful to us because it's very smooth. There aren't there's a lot of flow to it, and that sounds systematized. I think that's why it sounds attractive to Western ears. I agree with you. I find it attractive too.
So, Serenity, you had an insight? Oh, we lost her. Okay. Let's see.
Did I step on Serenity? I'm sorry if I did.
Well, I know you didn't do it intentionally, but I think she probably had to go deal with doggos for a second.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and skip the next thing for time because it will be just as annoying in a week as it is now. So have any of you noticed this phenomenon? So this is basically a little article on Yahoo News. A veteran Taco Bell worker of 20 years said he quit because customers have gotten so unreasonable and hard to deal with. It sure does seem like people have turned into just raging assholes. Has anybody
Especially, yeah.
independent
that-
corroboration? I think Sora was making a noise there.
Yeah, no, people are definitely more and more impatient.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that. I mean, I've seen someone lose their absolute mind at about a month or so ago at McDonald's over a coffee. Like they asked for a coffee, and it's just like, this is not good, blah blah blah. And it's McDonald's coffee, man, and it's like a guy in a suit because this was like downtown. It's like, chill. You're going to have coffee from McDonald's. What do you expect it to be? Like, I don't know, the Hawaiian grade beans? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you? It's just like right now, everything is so. I think a lot of people are just under unbelievable stress with everything, and there's no outlet. You can't go away. You can't escape anymore because there's everything. You can't do anything anymore. A lot of like minor freedoms are gone. And you're dealing with this. People not caring anymore to show basic decency in certain areas.
Well, there's an article. I mean, it's the small stuff. Anybody who's sort of on the front lines is just getting it, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's been my philosophy that you do not mess with people who prepare your food. It's a bad idea in general.
Yes.
Functional knows what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
But this guy apparently has pretty good coping skills because he's been like a Taco Bell manager for 20 years. This is like his profession. He's not starting as a burger flipper and saying,
Watch
I
the
should make
mic.
a wage so that I can buy a house and a vacation home. This is somebody who's made it up to manager. And he's just kind of fed up with it. Another article that didn't make the cut is Cathay Pacific Airlines, because of all the quarantine stuff and the zero tolerance for COVID going in and out of China, is having a terrible time with their crews and their pilots, because they get to another destination, they're not allowed to move around or do anything. They essentially have to go straight to their hotel room. They're not allowed to leave. And then they have to basically go right back and get on the plane and come back and then get quarantined again. And it's what they call a closed loop shift. And a lot of these guys are just retiring. They're just like, I can't deal with this anymore. The isolation, the tedium, it's just getting to them. So whether you're talking about airline pilots or the guy managing the Taco Bell, a lot of people are just not doing so well. And it
Well,
doesn't make things better to have people behave in a really shitty fashion. Serenity?
Well, it's like, and the thing is, it's at least around here, because we locked down for 2 weeks last year and that was it.
Yeah.
Like, other than people had to wear masks in West Virginia, that was about the extent of it. And the governor's made it very, very clear what he wants everyone to get vaccinated. He's not going to do a vaccine mandate. So because of that, people are just a lot chiller. Like, there's not, like, I haven't seen anybody lose their shit in the McDonald's drive-through. People are pretty calm, even in the Starbucks one. Like, it sucks that there's such a difference because of upper management, we'll put it that way. Upper management's choice on how to handle things, like, governmental wise. Because like around here, you wouldn't even know, other than the occasional person wearing a mask, you wouldn't even know there's anything going on with Omicron or whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I prefer that because I can go do stuff.
I think the pandemic might have been the straw that broke the camel's back on this issue, but this has been something I've observed in my entire lifetime, and it has grown in years up into and including the pandemic. But this is not a new issue. I recall, again, I've seen this happen throughout my entire life, and as somebody who's worked in the industry, like when I was a teenager, I had that mixed job. Oh well, you know, I had that level of experience in knowing what this person's going through. I will walk up calmly, collectedly to that person freaking out and go, hey, come on, they're a human being. Just take it down a notch. Let's just be calm, and they'll fix it for you. That's what they're here to do. But you treating them as less than human is not doing anybody any good, and it's making you hard to deal with. So come on, hey, let's all just be people here. I know it's very hippy dippy kind of thing to say, but like it's true.
Yeah.
Just if people will just breathe and then say, okay, look, you messed up my order. Can we get this fixed? Then everybody wins and nobody goes home with that sense of anger that your meal or whatever they got wrong was fixed. Everything, and you didn't have to denigrate anybody. It's as simple as that.
Yep, it is as simple as that. Any other comments before I move to the next thing? Which I love this next story. Go ahead.
I'm just curious because I would want to know what the age group was that they, or the assumed age group of the people who were doing that stuff to them. Because I know when I worked in a call center, the age group I had the biggest problem with was my own age group.
Yeah.
And like the very late end of Gen Xers. Boomers were never a problem because they were chill. They're like, nah, it's fine.
No, they usually approach the problem like I just outlined,
Yeah.
Calmly.
It's probably younger people given the industry, because younger people hit the fast food a lot harder.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. It's like, but that's not, and I hate to use this term, that's not the meme though. The meme is the boomer. But what people don't realize is the ones people are calling boomers are usually about mid Gen X and younger. So it's not actually the boomers who are causing the problem.
No, it's the boomers' kids.
Skep and I are having a little telepathic conversation
know.
right now.
Yes, we are.
I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, it's about the time when you start pulling muscles in your sleep is when you stop eating fast food.
Yeah,
that's the
basically.
truth. That is just
But
the
it's,
truth.
it's a very weird thing to hear my generation complain about boomers, and yet the people I've always had the most trouble with is my own generation
Yeah.
when it comes to service stuff.
But that's because we're the boomers' kids, Serenity, and that's what they're projecting. They're saying, okay, boomer, but it's like, yeah, your parents might have, helped raise you and whatever, but at the end of the day, you're still an individual with your own
Yeah.
choices and morality to impose on somebody. Like,
Don't
your
blame
life
your
is your
parents
own.
for your
There's
own
only so
bullshit.
much you can blame your parents for. So
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
I look at you and I look at me and other people in our generation who aren't that insane and entitled. And
Yeah.
I go, where did our parents go wrong? And then I'm like, no, it's not the parents, it's the other assholes.
Once you've worked on an animal farm, you stop being entitled.
Oh, I saw
Yeah.
I saw a
That's
meme
so
not
true.
not
So
too long
true.
ago where it was basically the gist of it was Gen Xers like the fact that all the bad stuff you hear about in the news, we hardly ever get blamed for any of it.
Even though some of it you all are to blame for it.
Oh no, we've got really good PR.
Yeah, you do.
You don't
It's
get to throw the
amazing.
boomer thing at us. You don't get to lazy millennials, entitled Zoomers. It's like, no, just leave us. We're just sitting back. Just leave us out of it.
You're another silent generation.
We're the most
Like-
silent generation. We know just to shut up
Yeah,
and
you're
sit
the
back and
stealth
watch.
generation.
watch
the,
everything.
The torch was basically passed, 5 or 6 years ago
We're the
already.
sneaky. If a generation could be a sneaky fart, it would be us.
Yes. Yes, you would.
All right. So this next thing makes me is so good. It is.
Get off my lawn.
This is a perfect example of people with way too much money and way too little sense.
Ooh.
I hope you enjoy this as much as I did because I love this.
Is this what I'm hoping it is?
Okay.
Oh.
High-tech Tesla Cybertruck camper is raising money at an astronomical $400 million valuation. So-
It looks
it's starting
so
to not
ugly.
even make any
It's-
sense anymore.
It's very Jetsons, isn't it?
okay, I have more
Jetsons with a little
information.
Mad Max.
More information on this.
Yeah.
So, but it's not that such a thing
Rube
shouldn't
Goldberg.
exist because it totally should. Why not, right? Why not make this thing that fits in the back of your very expensive electric pickup truck
Nah.
that lets you go camping or glamping in the back of your electric pickup truck? I don't question that, but $400 million. How many Cybertrucks are you going to sell? Well, anyway, so here's this luxury product. Cyberlander, the ultimate adventure vehicle. The Tesla is separate, obviously.
Well, yeah.
So
Tesla
let's-
not included.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
look at the features. It's got a compact design, solar panels, sliding roofs, Starlink satellite internet, sound system. Because when I go camping, I want to bring as much as possible of the
You're not-
real world
not-
with me.
You're not
Exactly.
trying to get away from the stuff. You want to get closer to the stuff that makes you crazy.
Yeah, it's got like a little sink. It's got little tables. You got your flat screen TV,
A
Heated
flat-screen
floor.
TV.
heated floor, kitchen, circulating shower, pivoting tables.
Where do you sleep?
Where's the bed? Or is it one of those the tables like flattened down and you put a mattress
It's a
down?
futon type of arrangement. Yeah.
I can't even keep track of
This
how
is
much.
like- This is like the next level of those schooly assholes or those van life motherfuckers who keep talking about, well, I'm the new rich. It's like, no, you're the new dumbass. It's,
yeah,
Heated floors.
yeah, it's
I
got
think
heated.
that's-
There's like a little
Oh
pad
my
thing that comes down.
okay, so where's the clean water, gray water, and black water tanks?
I don't know.
Like how much? Like you can't store enough water in there to actually be out in the middle of nowhere long enough.
Okay, so let's just see how much. If we
Oh,
try to
come
reserve
on.
this, let's just see.
Ugh.
50 grand.
50 grand.
That's not that. That's about the same as the ones that fit in the old trucks because we have one. That's about what they used to cost. So that's not that shocking. But the amount the truck costs is what's annoying.
Okay,
That's
so
just
for 50,
amazing for
yeah.
$50,000 because you can do better than that.
Yeah, for
Yes.
$50,000, you can totally just do this. I don't know. This is the kind of thing that I just shake my head at. That not that it, like I said, not that it exists, because I can imagine there are people who would want this, but $400 million worth of pre-orders for $50,000 Tesla campers.
Well, it's like, how
That
do you
just
even
doesn't
load
look
it?
like anything. That looks horrible.
Yeah, it looks ugly as fuck. Well, the
Yeah, it
Cybertruck looks
is.
ugly as fuck too.
How much would a standard like camper run you? 10, 15 grand?
Depending on what you want, like there's stuff
Like
like
an average for something.
But that
about
would
this-
use gasoline,
Yeah.
and that's wrong.
Well,
Well,
no, because it's just the camper. It's just the trail hitch.
well, it's
You
like they
could
have
attach it to the back of the Tesla truck
There's stuff like the
or
happy,
your
the
regular
happier
F-150 or
camper.
whatever have you.
There's this ones that are like the happier camper that are like $30,000 that just hitch on, and a Tesla could pull those. Like a regular Tesla X can pull those. It's just a little modular thing. But
You know, if only there was a thing that could collapse down into
I
a
know.
fairly small package that you could carry with you that takes up almost no room that you could set up and sleep in. I don't know.
it's
I
called
mean,
a tent.
like a tent?
Like a tent.
You could pitch it like a tent.
I mean, at a certain point,
$50,000 and still go camping.
you could just sleep
Yeah.
in the Cybertruck and
Now-
tilt the seat back. I mean, what?
Yeah,
Is this
exactly.
is this
Yeah.
camper bear proof, Harry?
It doesn't look very
Because that might
bulletproof.
be the selling point over a tent.
Well, it
And
might
certain
be a good
bear-proof.
place to get away from sunfish.
The thing is, for
Yeah.
$50,000, you can
Sunfish
just go to nice hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you
But-
could also,
Abundance
this
serenity.
thing has like a great towing capacity. You could also just go glamping and have like a little
Buy a regular
teardrop
one.
thing,
Yeah.
you know, and you could put your sunfish plushies and crap in it. And
Harry's never gonna let that
Waifu
sunfish
body
thing go
pillows.
away.
yeah, waifu body pillows,
Long cat.
long cat, yeah, snuggle whale, all of that stuff. You could just put it in there.
Jesus.
I don't know. This just struck me as really dumb. Not the fact, like I said, not that it exists, because I mean, maybe there's people who would want this thing. But $400 million, have you people lost your freaking minds?
You know what the great thing is? The great thing is that Elon Musk will try almost anything.
Bless his heart. Thank
He
goodness.
tries so many things, and he is what an entrepreneur is supposed to be. He knows the certain number of the things he tries is going to fail, but he keeps trying. And it was interesting to hear him talk about the space project as they were going through that, because he used to talk about, we're going to try 2 more launches, and if that doesn't work, we may be effectively out of the space business, because that there's a certain amount of capital that I put into this, and I won't throw good money after bad. So he is one of those rare guys who gets rid of his losers, but he tries a lot of different things. And he tries things that both appeal to his imagination and appeal to, I'm sure, the battalions of staff MBA types that he's got, working for him, trying to suss the market.
The Italians.
Pardon me.
Nothing. I'm just
Battalions, yes, not
But-
Italians.
Battalions, not Italian.
Hey man, sometimes you need some good Italian, like
Yeah.
from Sicily.
Except when they get all
Italian,
tactful and
Italian.
give you
Bring
a
some
hot Cuomo.
decaps.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Don't call me Fredo.
All right. Well, enough
know
of
that's
making fun of
racist.
people with way too
How
much
about a
disposable
little
income.
linguine Alfredo?
All right.
Why is
So-
that funny?
Getting married in the metaverse. Tracy and Dave Gagnon met in the cloud, so it only made sense that their wedding took place in it. On Labor Day weekend, the couple, or rather their digital avatars, held a ceremony staged by Don't Care, a company that builds virtual environments for work, learning, and events. Ms. Gagnon's avatar was walked down the aisle by the avatar of her close friend. Of course it
What?
was, because clearly Dad wasn't in the picture to give her advice about this.
Mhm.
Mr. Gagnon's avatar watched as his buddy's avatar ambled up to the stage and delivered a toast. A 17-year-old twin avatars, the ring bearer and flower girl, danced at the reception. How the immersive virtual world known as the metaverse, which few of us understand, will change the traditional wedding is, at the moment, anyone's guess. Ugh, I hate people.
Mhm.
This has been happening since WoW. I'm sorry.
Humanity was
I'm
a
over
mistake.
it.
But Serenity, the graphics of this metaverse space is like this is early '90s VR
Isn't this-
CGI
is
This
crap.
looks like
Is
Half
this
Life.
Second Life?
Second Life. This looks like Second Life, not Half Life. Sorry, my brain skipped a beat. This looks like Second Life. It really does.
So bad.
But yeah, no, like this shit's been happening since WoW. There's been Minecraft weddings,
Yeah.
but at least in the WoW one, if they got
Funerals.
married, it was pretty. Yeah,
The first
WoW
time I
funeral.
saw the news article where two people who were into diving and met diving had an underwater wedding, I thought, wow, that's really interesting. That's one that people are going to remember. But ever since that, it's just been getting dumber and dumber.
Yeah. Have you
And
met
more
people?
memorable for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
The hilarious ones are happen in one of my old sports, skydiving. Invariably, somebody wants to get married in free fall.
Yep.
And so they take them to about 15,000 feet, and you get about a 80, 85 second free fall out of that before you have to separate away and pull. And of course, there's a mob of them, so they have to start separating about $4,000. And I have seen one of these, and it's just it's not meaningful. It's a stunt.
It's meant to make themselves feel more important than what they are.
Yeah, well, and also, as is always the case with skydivers, look at me, I'm a skydiver.
I don't even want to know what this means for the nuptials and then the honeymoon.
The two most
Just that
common
they'll
things-
have their own porn channels in the metaverse. And
They
Yeah.
probably already do.
Yeah.
Yeehaw.
Well, I mean, when we get to penis news, we'll probably know the answer to this.
do we know
question.
if they've met
Yeah.
in real in
They-
meat
They
space?
have.
They
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
They have met in meat space. Okay.
I remember that first time she pushed me out the airlock. Sus. Go. Okay.
Wait a minute.
All right. So going from the light to the heavy again. Excuse me. Robert E. Lee statue in Charlottesville to be melted down by African American History Museum. Remember when they
Fucking
said
hell.
it's not like we're destroying history, we're just moving it to a place where it's more
Ah.
appropriate, where we can talk about it in context. No, this is just
No.
punitive bullshit. They're going to take a
Yes.
statue, they're going to melt it down, and repurpose it into a new piece of public art. And
Like a
have you
fentanyl
seen
Floyd
public art
statue.
recently? Because you
Yeah,
know it's going to be
Trash.
it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, Prospero's not a little under the weather, or she'd be here telling us how stupid this is. But please carry on in her absence. How stupid
Well,
is this?
I'm happy to pick up her torch. This is amazing. It's not surprising, but I am continually amazed at the lengths that people will go to show how woke they are, how virtuous they are.
Virtue.
And this is a thing where they go back, they say, well, here we have a statue of somebody who was on a side that is indefensible, and so we want to hurt this thing, this symbol of that bad group of people, or those people who had bad motivations or did bad things. We want to hurt them. It's a close relative of the thing when you turn on Netflix and you see a black overweight lesbian, nothing wrong with that, beating the shit out of 5 SEALs, right?
Mhm.
Because they can, because women just can, right? So you see these special forces guys getting thrown around. What they're doing is they're acting out a little drama, saying, "This is how we wish we could hurt you. We wish we could hurt all of you this way." I really do think that's what this goes down to. I think there's something very ugly at the base of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is. And if you just take what they say at face value, suppose this is something that's racist, right? You're not going to go to Auschwitz and turn it into an amusement park to cover it up, to pretend that it never happened. If it was actually racist and terrible,
Right.
you would want to keep it around as a thing, as a a thing to start
Reminder.
conversation.
Yeah,
We
but
don't
this-
care so much about these specific news articles.
here-
I bring these up just to start conversations. And they're
But he-
making the conversation not exist by turning it into a picture of Greta and George
Right.
Floyd or whatever.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
What they're saying is that having a statue of Robert E. Lee is like having a statue of Joseph Goebbels or Heinrich Himmler. That, you know, you wouldn't have a statue to those people, and they were evil and destroyed people. And the narrative is that the South only destroyed black people, and you know that it was everything would have been just great except for slavery. So people simply do not remember or know enough about the history of the time to appreciate who Robert E. Lee was. He would have been positioned probably to have had a career in politics after his Army career. He was a leading general. They begged him to take command of the Union armies, and he said, "No, I'm going to resign my commission, and I will, go with the militia of Virginia." It's painting Robert E. Lee as an evil man is just, it's facile, and it's offensive. It plays fast and loose with what the real history was, what really happened. It makes me sad that people don't care anymore to know what really happened.
Well, these people are just hiding from the fact that under the same circumstances, a lot of them would have done exactly the same thing as our ancestors did. They like to think that they're more evolved, but
Right.
they're not.
No.
Human beings and the veneer of civilization is extremely thin, and anybody can get caught up in these things under the right circumstances. And that's an uncomfortable fact. So they're
That's
just
right.
trying to, this is really, I think in a lot of ways, this is just projection. Again,
Oh,
because
yes,
it's always projection
yes,
with these
agreed.
people.
Yeah,
We're not the kind of people who would ever do such a thing.
No, those were those kinds of people.
Yeah, those were
You
those
know,
kinds of people.
Southern white people.
So let's
who-
just cover it up and pretend it never happened.
who black lesbians can beat the shit out of with ease.
Yeah.
That's Jesus. Netflix.
All right. Any other comments on this before we move on?
No.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to skip this next one for time. Oh, well, here, this is good because this is telling me how terrible I am. So I can't skip this. Study shows men spread COVID particles more than other populations. So functional, why are
What does that
you trying
mean?
to why are you trying to make children sick?
I just like to man spread. What can I say?
Yeah.
Been doing it since 1980. I think I just need to spread them out right now.
Yeah. Yeah. This is dumb. We're going to just not talk a lot about this unless you guys want to. I just think it's funny because it's always this is basically just another version of women most affected.
This is also coming from Colorado State University, which has become one of the most liberal state campuses in the country. So I don't even know what to tell you.
Yeah. California had liberal campuses before it was cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, in terms of good news, Omicron still continues to not seem to be as deadly. I mean, the data's still out. We don't know for sure what's going to happen. But in this particular thing, it looks a lot like from the code of this thing, like it might have commingled a bit with a common cold coronavirus. And that might explain the greater transmissibility. This is all not peer-reviewed, very early. We don't know yet. But by all accounts so far, Omicron is not looking so bad if you look at the number of people who are in hospitals on oxygen in, say, South Africa, where over 90% of the cases are Omicron variant now.
I didn't read this, Harry. Are they saying that this got material from a rhinovirus?
No, from a coronavirus. There are 3 coronaviruses that cause common cold.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Now they'd have to definitely, that would be quite the little party for the rhinovirus to hook up with this thing.
My God, yeah.
Dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria.
But it's not, given what's going on in South Africa with so many immune compromised people and a lot of people living in close proximity, it's not beyond imagination that somebody could have received coronavirus and a coronavirus that causes common cold at the same time. And that during the replication process of both viruses, there was a little bit of presto changeo.
Here's the thing about that, Harry. For that kind of a change in a virus to occur, viruses swap genetic code all the time.
Yep.
It happens in nature all the time. But you don't get a common switch of genetic code, particularly a switch that affects something that is obvious like transmissibility.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that happening in a large enough of the virus particles to where it changes the character of the disease. What I find interesting about this is that this is something where they've had a mutation, and it's been a successful organism, and I just wonder where that comes from, how that happens.
Well, it's kind of like 1 million typewriters and 1 million monkeys in 1 million years.
Well, yeah.
We've got over 1 million man years. When we've got these huge populations, pretty much anything that can happen probably is going to.
We're all just virus incubators, basically.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, you are so filled with viruses, it's not even funny.
I think by weight, it's not so much viruses, but bacteria. Aren't by weight, aren't humans like 30% or 10% bacteria?
I used to know that.
It's a huge amount of our gut bacteria that make up a huge portion of our weight.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, so if you want to lose weight, ask your doctor for some antibiotics. So John Campbell did another one of his excellent videos, which GeoDes is in the chat linking.
Bacteria make up 1 to 3% of the body's mass.
And so Campbell's been talking to people on the ground in South Africa. So this is actually a really good video. I recommend, if you're curious about this sort of thing and want to get a look at what things are going to be like for us in a few weeks and have some good news, maybe check out part of this video here.
This guy is a great source.
Yeah, he's a superstar.
He really is. It's one of my favorite channels right now.
All right. Well, moving on. Ships bound for backlogged California ports forced even further out to sea. I don't know if you heard Jen Psaki, the most honest press secretary ever, was talking about how there are fewer ships waiting in the queue. Well, they just sort of redefined what the queue is and pushed a bunch of these people out into the ocean. So right now, let's see, only 30 ships were within view of the ports of Los Angeles, the 2 largest ports. Well, the other 60 were forced further out to sea amid high winds and rough seas. And there's all kinds of weather coming in, and some of those guys have been out there for several weeks. So they are having they're not going to have a good week.
What morale is like on those ships out there?
Hey, GeoDes.
Hola.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi, GeoDes.
All right. So, as a practical matter, I figure Skep knows more about this than anybody here. He spent more time at ships than any of us have. How miserable would it be to be on a super tanker at sea for weeks longer than you planned on being there?
The only good news is it's better than being on a Navy ship where they work your ass off.
But aren't they out of like the good refrigerated food and they're just eating crap?
Oh,
at
yeah,
this point?
yeah. It's all tinned food. It's all tinned food at that point. And the other thing is you eat a lot of dry cereal. That's that they Frosted Flakes were especially popular among the merchant mariners when I was in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, that was the thing, and they ate them dry. They just would grab a handful of Frosted Flakes like peanuts and eat them.
I do that now.
Lame.
Might have a career in the Navy. But anyway,
Yeah.
What happens is that you simply start pining for the feel of land under your feet. I was never one of the, and there are very few, by the way, of these in my experience, of people. Oh, I just love being out at sea. I can't wait for the bounding main and all that stuff. Bullshit. It's just a place where you do your work. Sea, the ocean is a part of what your life is. It's where you work. It's something you have to take into account. It's all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to come home from work every once in a while. And when you live at your work for months at a time, and that's frequently true on these merchant ships, on these tankers and container ships, they spend months on those ships, months. And to be told when you're coming in and you think you're going to unload your containers and they have a liberty in town, and they say, no, you can't even dock. You have to stay out at sea. You can't come in. And now we're going to send you 100 miles out into the ocean where there is potential for very significant weather events, oceanic events. There's going to be wear and tear on your ship. You're going to use more fuel, blah 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 blah. And we're doing that so that it won't look so bad. Really, there is more open water mooring space off the west coast of the United States than you can shake a stick at. The only congested port in the western United States is San Francisco, and it has to do with the shape of the bay and the size of the bay. But the other ports on the west coast that don't have a deep enclosed bay like that have, the ocean is your oyster. You can put as many ships out there and stack them up and basically put them in parking. It's like a big parking lot out there. They could do that, and it would be a lot more comfortable for these guys. Guys wouldn't have to stand under way watches. They could stand in port watches, which is a much easier watch to stand. They're working their ass off for no reason right now. That's terrible for morale.
Well, the people running the port came up with this brilliant plan. They were actually threatening to charge fines if the containers that came off the ships weren't picked up quickly enough to basically the shipping companies.
Wow.
And apparently things have improved enough that they decided to back away and not do that. But how exactly was that supposed to improve the supply chain, to just institute some punitive measure that came down on people? It's like, well, we don't have enough truckers because we told 20% of them their services were no longer required because they have cooties. But then when they don't show up and pick up the thing, we're going to fine you.
When have you ever known a difficult, tense, tough situation that wasn't improved by beatings?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Beatings.
Well, it's always
will
good for
continue to
morale.
Morale improves.
Exactly. Exactly, Sora.
Yeah, Sora, we're getting behind at your work, so we've decided to start flogging the employees until the backlog.
Just because it makes so much sense.
I can safely tell you it does not really work as well as you think. So.
Well, I know. Geodes, would you like to do 3 people's work?
Oh,
That was a cry. That was tearful. That was
a cry for help.
It was.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's already sad enough. I'm going to skip the next story about inflation because inflation sucks.
Inflation, boring.
Inflation's boring. All right, let's
Although
see.
I will say that I've been calling this for now over a year. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why we can get off this, because we're going to talk about this again. So this struck me as insane, but then I realized this happens all the time.
Yeah.
So there was a big defense bill that went through, and of course, this is nothing new here, but even with the amount that Biden asked for, they said, no, we know you said you only need so much money, but here, have an extra 25 billion in defense spending because this is almost, what do you bet that's 25 billion of nothing but pure pork just layered on top of everything else?
Guaranteed.
I know this is something that probably most of you already know, but in order to build something like a B-2 bomber back in the day, they would produce some part of it in just about every single state.
Yep.
Nay, every congressional district. That's one of the reasons why this stuff costs so much, because they just view government military spending as a jobs program. It's infrastructure. It's just infrastructure. It's all fine, right? When we spend it on infrastructure, it doesn't matter if you borrow it or print it. So, I don't know. This just
that's how
annoys the shit out of
Grumman
me.
Aviation stayed in business for as long as they did.
Well, we are just at a point where we can't keep doing this shit. Why throw another 25 billion if the Army and the Navy and the Air Force and the Marines and the Space Force come up with what they think they need in the budget? It goes to goes into committee. They put their budget requests together and they say we need X number of dollars to fund the Defense Department, and then the House just says no, you need to spend even more than you're already asking for, which is huge because they're already asking for more than they think they're going to get. But no, we'll just give you 25 billion more because you're nice guys.
Well, wasn't there a an article that came out, like, especially I think this was back during the Arab Spring, where they were talking about some of the business deals we did with the Egyptian military, where we actually manufacture outdated tanks on some of this budget and then sell it to them or something like that, like tanks that we consider technologically outdated compared to what we have now. I don't even remember that, but I'm just kind of like, that seems like an area where honestly the budget could be cut, frankly. So
they should just buy tanks from the Israelis. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is just more of the same crap. Anybody want to get a piece of this, or shall we move on?
I was going to just make one comment because
Please.
I actually used to help with what's called the Program Objective Memorandum. That's the DoD budgeting instrument. Each command submits what their requirements are going to be, and you have to do something called zero-based justification, which essentially says, this is why you need this command. This is what we do here. These are the components of the command. And here is the effect on, readiness and, our command's mission and all this other stuff. If this piece right here was dropped, if this piece was here was dropped. And so you justify your existence every 4 years, actually the way the POM works. Anyway, but it effectively amounts to every year. So what we would do at the PG school is we would offer up the entire postgraduate school as a decrement. And that is so politically unpalatable that we would always get 100% of our requested budget as a result. There's all kinds of tricks that go on in the budgeting process. That's why when I hear $25 billion on top of what was zero based, or on top of what was justified through the appropriations process, I'm absolutely gobsmacked.
Yeah. We're giving you this extra because we know you'll spend it well.
I was a finance officer in the Navy. I don't even understand this.
Well, you remember when they started closing a lot of the extra bases that we had.
Oh, sure.
And
yeah.
you remember
that
what a huge Charlie
Fox.
Remember that what a huge Charlie Foxtrot that process was?
Oh God, it was a clusterfuck of epic proportion.
It sure was. Because basically all it was a bunch of people in Congress going, not in my district, you're not closing my base because jobs, and they took her jobs. Yeah, that was just the worst.
Yep.
Anyway. So this also amuses me, I think, even more than the camper. So what happened a few days ago, I think it was Tuesday, a bunch of stuff in Amazon's cloud, both
Uh,
in the East Coast part of it, that serviced both external customers and a bunch of their internal services went down. And so there were people who had taken their phone with them, thinking they were going to use their phone to unlock their door, and no worky. So like their
Whoops.
their electric locks on their doors didn't work. Their
Oh,
Ring doorbells didn't work.
I hate
Their
that for you.
Nest heaters didn't work, so they couldn't
The
turn on their
Roombas,
heating.
Harry. Think of the Roombas.
Yeah, that's
all
what I
of this,
love.
all
Like,
of this stuff stopped working.
Unused.
Without working, fridges, Roombas, doorbells, highlighting how reliant people have become on a company as the Internet of Things proliferates across homes.
It
This-
prevented people from getting into Disney World.
Yeah.
Well,
you couldn't get groceries from Amazon, and you couldn't actually packages that were going to be delivered by Amazon couldn't be delivered. That's how bad this was. I mean, if you
Wow.
they deliver for they lost an entire day of package shipment for all of the stuff that Amazon delivers on its own, which is like more than half of their stuff now.
yeah. Well, I was actually going to say, Harry, what's kind of funny about this too is like, for anybody who doesn't understand how AWS functions, effectively the basic premise behind it is we're going to run everything on a software level and more or less try to bypass the hardware level of when dealing with computing. And so what they do is they buy all this cheaper hardware that like mostly consumer based hardware, set up all these like servers that aren't necessarily the fastest, but they're decent. And then they just use it to platform this whole software platform for AWS. And it's supposed to be used for, shopping, but it can also be used for hosting medical information, billing, all kinds of other stuff. I think Netflix runs on AWS, if I remember correctly. And
that I'm not sure about. I think you're not entirely correct in your assessment.
okay.
Amazon does offer some higher performance stuff, not as much as, say, the Oracle cloud infrastructure or Microsoft Azure, but they are really, as you did point out, you could say that they're a value provider.
Mhm.
So one of the things they've done is they've produced their own ARM chip, just like Apple did with the new
Right.
M1 Silicon Macs. So they
Yeah,
have their own CPU based on ARM architecture, and you can actually get machines based on ARM that, since they use less power, they charge less per month. So a
Yeah.
lot of companies have these huge cloud spends into the cloud. Now, I don't know if Netflix is amongst them.
Yes,
I believe it
Netflix
is.
uses AWS for nearly all of its computing and storage needs, including databases, analytics, recommendation engine, video transcoding, and many more.
Yeah.
Hundreds of functions that in total use more
Yeah.
than 100,000 server instances on AWS. That's
But-
just Netflix.
But these are all
Yeah,
going to be rack mount servers. This is not a bunch of PCs on their side.
Right.
You know,
This
these
all
are
right. Yeah.
they're 1 unit servers.
but they're not going to be Xeon Platinums with all SSD storage
They-
unless you pay for that grade of stuff. They have different
They
tiers
basically-
in the cloud.
They basically pay for the next lowest tier that's slightly cheaper but still good quality is effectively what it is in terms of like when dealing with like the server infrastructure and stuff, and that's to save money to build more of these because and this is why it's so funny is because one of the premises behind AWS is they have such a huge platform on the web that the chances of any kind of outage on a server is very high, and so by having so many servers, it would try to make having something like an outage nearly impossible, which is hilarious considering that this is a complete and total outage. So.
Well, what they need to do, which is should be obvious from things like this, is move more of the smarts out toward the edge. So having an Internet of Things is fine, but you need things to be smarter. And computer chips have gotten so good at such low powers now that it's not that hard to make your Roomba have much more of the processing happen on the Roomba itself.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they need to do that because if you want stuff to be reliable, there needs to be a failover where at least if you scream open the damn door at your door, it will
You're
open for you if
just-
it recognizes your voice.
I have been a distributed processing evangelist forever, Harry. It just makes me happy to hear you say that.
Yeah. Well, this is what they talk about edge stuff, moving stuff out to the edge. So if you look at the things that NVIDIA offers in terms of the Navier AGX brand, you can do like 30 teraflops of processing in like some embedded GPU that runs on 10 watts. I mean, it's just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
Just to use teraflops as a common ordinary thing. That's
yeah, it's
amazing
pretty
to
cool.
me.
But sorry, I'm geeking out and I need to stop. Let's see. So, well, anyway, it's not going to get any better with this next article. Does anybody else want to complain before we move on? We're good. Okay.
I think we're good.
Gone. So, NVIDIA decided to bestow upon the gamers of the world a couple-year-old design re-released as the RTX 2060 with 12 gigabytes of memory. Now, you would think, why are they releasing this when they can't fulfill the orders for their old cards? And the only thing that we can think is that they're actually doing this, they're not admitting to it, but it's almost certainly for bit miners.
Yeah,
For crypto
that's what's
mining.
happening. That's what's happening.
Because when I read this article, I was completely shocked to find out that they've actually put stuff in the 3000 series cards that if it thinks you're doing bit mining, it intentionally slows the crypto mining code, it slows down just to be difficult because it doesn't want people buying all the gamers cards for Bitcoin mining and Ethereum mining.
Wow, that's interesting.
I kind of like this, but I kind of hate it. Intentionally
Yeah.
making a product run like crap because you don't
I
like what
don't
somebody's
like
going to
that.
use it for kind of
I
irritates
don't
me.
like that. Yeah.
Just take the DDR6 chips that are in here and use them to make new cards that people want. Because if I was a big time gamer and I've been sitting around for 2 years waiting for, or at least a year, waiting for like a 3080 or something, I would be pissed as hell to see this old card being released. And if
That's
you
fair.
ask around, nobody knows how much this thing's going to cost. But it turns out this shitty old card that they're re-releasing actually is faster for doing Bitcoin mining than the newer 3000 series are because of the shenanigans they pulled.
What's going to happen, I think, eventually, is that Bitcoin mining and Ethereum mining, that kind of operation, is going to be taken up as a subspecialty, and there will be cards that are produced simply for that.
Yeah, they shouldn't even pretend that this card is for gaming.
Right.
I mean, they should just have
That's what
it.
this is for.
It should just have like a picture of Dogecoin or something on the box. Just be,
Exact Doge. Yeah.
just be
Why
done
not
with it.
advertise for it? Yeah.
I mean, in terms of people in the chat now, just a full disclosure, I am an NVIDIA shareholder, but I'm not a fan of any of this BS that they're doing here. Are people still waiting like crazy to get graphics cards for their games? I mean, it's been a long time for some people, hasn't it? Is anybody trying to build a new PC right now?
Not right now, but I normally don't build them anyway. I always just buy them built. So I am the wrong
There's
person to ask.
I noticed here from time to time there's like a news that when Best Buy gets a new shipment, people will line up from like 5 a.m. if not before.
Well, like I think the quartering, I was watching one of his videos today as I was researching stuff for the show, and there's some pre-built thing, and he said, "Oh, they have the best availability of parts," and they sort of glossed over it, and they were selling like a 3090 for like $2,700,
Mm-hmm.
some insane amount of money.
$2,700, really?
That makes a $50,000 Tesla truck camper look pretty performant by comparison. I mean, that is.
Yeah.
You got to really want some FPS on your game playing to spend that kind of money to get that card today.
No kidding. Or money means something different to you than it means to me.
Anyway, the whole chip thing just amuses the hell out of me. It's too bad we don't have Valine on. She probably would have a good take on this. Let's see. Oh, Assassin's saying order from Newegg. Yeah, I order stuff from Newegg all the time. It's a pretty good company.
I've heard varying opinions
I-
on Newegg.
I would be. I like Newegg, but I'd be very careful if you have to do any shipping back to them because they do like. I mean they They don't like to do it for free, and I mean it's understandable because they're not quite as large as Amazon, but it can get pretty painful pretty quickly.
Well, is that all for everything, things they sell directly, or is it for things that they sell sort of through their third-party marketplace?
I've had it in both cases, personally. A lot of times it's third party, but every once in a while there's something that is on Newegg's main line. And I did call them up one time to correct a problem because it was a problem that I did not notice until much later. And fortunately, they were nice enough to allow me to do it. But they basically were like, well, this is the only time we're doing it. And I was like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I can be very persuasive when I need to be. I once bought an air conditioner from Amazon, and it turned out that it was a mistake to buy that because it wouldn't work. The reasons don't really matter. And they said, well, we can't take it back. And I said, well, I'm within the return thing, and it didn't say it wasn't returnable, and I want to return this. And they said, well, we can't take it back. And this went back and forth for a while, and then finally they said, oh, just keep it, and we'll return the money. Really? You're giving me a $500 air conditioner for free?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like, okay. Amazon's really good about that kind of stuff. And I've had pretty good luck with most retailers. So if I ran into that situation with Newegg, I'm not really sure how I would deal with that.
You would be chagrined.
I would be really pissed off, and I'd probably go on the warpath and make it my mission to destroy them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. With the tiny reach of my show on Saturday night. Okay, nobody buys stuff from them. So Toyota has decided to build a big battery plant in North Carolina. It makes a lot more sense than building the damn things in Japan and China and then shipping them on a boat that's never going to land. Making the batteries closer to where they build the cars makes a lot of sense, and the business climate in a lot of these places is great. Boeing moved to South Carolina. I mean, a lot of companies that do tech stuff and manufacturing all seem to be deciding to be on the southern Atlantic coast.
Unions are not strong down there. They tend to be right-to-work states. You know, there's a lot of positive things for big employers that mitigate the risks. You know, who would open a manufacturing concern in Detroit, Michigan right now? The unions are up there just waiting to pounce on any hapless business that comes walking through the door.
Well, those $2,000 briefcases aren't going to buy themselves, Skep.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting because it's good that they're doing this. I mean, Toyota's very good at making cars that people want to buy. A lot of people like Toyota cars. Now, in terms of actually being good electric cars for the money, I don't know if that's the thing. I mean, you look at something like Tesla, and they're actually doing some pretty cool stuff. They've got their battery partner, Panasonic. And if you look at the one on the left, you got this 1865 battery. That's the same battery that I use in like my flashlight and stuff. And they came out with a new cell, which is a little bit more, a little bit cheaper to make, a little bit better capacity, which is this 2170 here in the middle. And that's what's in like the Tesla Powerwalls and most of the longer range Tesla cars. But Elon said, no, we're never going to make cars that people can afford if we depend on these battery types. We need to come up with something that's way bigger and a lot cheaper to make. And that's the key thing. It isn't so much that it's like fundamentally different, but it's like much cheaper to make these things. So this 4680 here on the right has 5 times the capacity of this guy's on the left and takes half as long to make per unit.
Wow.
This is huge.
That's an amazing efficiency jump.
Well, Panasonic is Metaforce is saying they're not the ones making it. Actually, you're right. Tesla actually partnered with Panasonic on battery development. And their goal is to actually make the batteries, the 4680s, in the factory where they make the cars for efficiency reasons. That's the ultimate goal. And these are what would be used in the longer range high performance cars. They're actually looking to use lithium iron phosphate batteries for the cheaper cars they're going to make. And the reason being that it has such a long lifespan, you don't have to worry about replacing it within the life of the car.
Mhm.
So the thing would have a 700,000 mile lifespan, and the batteries would just be built into the frame. Cheaper, lighter, less stuff, a lot less complicated. And if you want to make an electric car that costs like $35,000, that's what they need to do.
Of course, 700,000 miles on some Toyotas. That's just rubbing the new off.
Yeah. Well, I found this thing when I did a search. The very first thing that came up when I searched for 4680 batteries was this article by this guy who's like Lucid CEO. Tesla's 4680 batteries aren't a huge breakthrough. Well, this to me just looks like sour grapes. I think
Yes.
this guy is completely and utterly full of crap.
Almost stinks of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, because when they arrange them in the existing battery pack shapes, they're going to have 30% more capacity, and it costs, and they can make those new batteries with half the effort to make 5 times the capacity. There's no way this isn't a huge thing, even if it isn't fundamentally a new battery technology.
Half the effort, 5 times the capacity. Ho hum.
Yeah, so there's
Big
this,
deal.
there's a YouTube video that I found, which I really actually like. The frightening economics of Tesla's 4680 battery cell. Now, it's kind of a Tesla fanboy thing, I know, but if you're curious, go back and take a look at this after the show, because it's a pretty interesting watch. There are worse things you could do with 26 minutes and 13 seconds of your life. Anyway, so it's good. We're building lots of cool stuff in the US.
Yeah.
Toyota builds batteries here. Awesome. Jobs in the US. That's like 1,700 jobs. Tesla's building more stuff in the US. Awesome. I like to see stuff get built in the US and never see a ship coming from China. So, in science articles, sleep technique used by Salvador Dali really works. Did anybody get a chance to read this?
I did not.
I did not read this one. I make it through a certain number of your list items, and
That's okay.
I didn't get down to this level today.
All right. Would one of you be able to read these first 3 paragraphs?
I'll read
I
it.
can. Oh,
Okay,
go ahead.
Let's have Sora- let's have Sora do it.
Sora's got a better voice.
She's,
Are you sure?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's much better.
Okay. Oh no, more. Sorry, no. I mean, are you sure you don't want to read?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. A sleep technique described by surrealist artist Salvador Dali and famous inventor Thomas Edison might actually work to inspire creativity, researchers have found. To get the creativity boost, you essentially need to wake up just as a certain sleep stage sets in, where reality seems to blend into fantasy. To use the technique, visionaries such as Dali and Edison would hold an object, such as the spoon or a ball, while falling asleep in a chair. As they drifted off, the object would fall, make a noise, and wake them up. Having spent a few moments on the brink of unconsciousness, they would be ready to start their work.
Yes.
Interesting.
It says this early sleep stage, known as the Hypernogea State or N1, lasts only a few minutes before you drift off to deeper sleep, but it may be the ideal cocktail for creativity. This to me is really interesting because I work too much and I tend to fall asleep sometimes sitting at my desk, and the thoughts that creep into my head before my head drops down and I wake myself up are sometimes really, really odd. I'm not an artist, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this sort of thing. But there have been times in the past where I've fallen asleep, sitting in a recliner, and I'll wake up when I drop my iPad on my face.
Oh, I've done that. Yep.
Yeah.
On my phone.
This doesn't seem like the most pleasant way to get the creative juices flowing. But if Edison and Dali both did it, there's probably something to this. I mean, what do you guys think?
It's almost as if you're exhausting your brain into hallucinations, because you're just getting into the stage of, I could get a little bit of sleep, and something startles you out. It's like keeping you at the edge of insanity. Interesting though. But it's almost like, what they say to do the best to get your energy back is have a shot of espresso and take a 10-minute nap. And then when you wake up, you're feeling much more invigorated because the caffeine has had a chance to take effect. and you're a little bit rested from a nap.
So there was a video that
They
John
call this stuff called parasomnia. That getting that creative moment when the spoon falls. I think that's called parasomnia, isn't it?
I don't know. There was a video. This this reminds me of something that John Cleese did a while ago. Let me see if I can find this thing here. It's a video called John Cleese on Creativity and Management. And he presents this thing as being two different modes of thinking, the open mode and the closed mode. Now, in the open mode, that's sort of like the brainstorming, everything's sort of open to possibilities.
Right.
And speaking from my own personal experience, I can tell you that the ideas that pop into my head during that moment of sleep, there really doesn't seem to be much holding you back, right? The most nonsensical things seem true. Like you'll accept them in that moment before you nod off.
Yeah.
And maybe as a creative thing, it is actually good because you get yourself into that open mode where the part of your brain that does the critical stuff that says, no, that can't possibly happen, has gone to sleep first. And you're in the open mode, you can do your creative work. And then later, when it's time to actually do the implementation of something, then you kind of like shut it all down and say, okay, I've got a job to do here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, got to glue macaroni on the upper right part now. And then you do what you're going to do.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud here. Apologize.
No, it's cool. Yeah.
Anyway.
You know, when you said that about open and closed thinking from Cleese's piece, I understood that exactly. I knew exactly what you meant, you know, when the words came out of your mouth. I understand that exactly. I can actually my natural state is to be in the open mode. I have to shut myself down to do routine, you know, things that rely on precision and responsibility as opposed to creativity and good ideas. Yeah, I have two distinct modes of operating my brain, and that open and closed analogy, I guess, metaphor, is just perfect for it. Anyway.
No, I think it's one of those things where you don't want to think that it's a literal thing. It's sort of like a left and right brain as a literal thing is not useful, but it's an interesting model for explaining stuff.
Exactly.
Definitely, I sometimes wonder about my own sanity on some of the weird things that pop through my head. Because I can be convinced that things that are definitely not real are real during those moments of nodding off. It's a little unsettling. I just try to get more sleep now so that doesn't happen. So, further on into science news, there was a new satellite that was launched just a few days ago. It was the Imaging X-ray Polarimetry Explorer. So they packed this thing onto a Tesla Falcon 9 rocket. No, I'm sorry, a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. And shot this thing into an equatorial orbit. It was actually kind of cool because they basically shot this thing up, and then the second stage, once it had been up there and been in position for a while, did this 40-second burn. They were launching from Florida, but they wanted this thing in an equatorial orbit to avoid some of the radiation bands in the upper atmosphere. Because if you have an X-ray telescope, you don't want a bunch of high-energy charged particles interfering with stuff. So this thing was it was the smallest thing they've ever launched in a Falcon 9. But even though they launched it from Florida all by itself, this very small satellite, they had all this extra juice left over to put this into a nice orbit directly around the equator. No zigging, no zagging, no sine waves, no nothing. So this thing, kind of a neat little accomplishment. But anyway, what's cool about... So did anybody read this article? Okay, you're stuck with my stupid voice then. All right. What's cool about this X-ray observatory is we've had X-ray observatories in the past where we can look at things in X-ray.
Yeah, like Chandra.
But what this does is it actually has a special type of X-ray telescope that can measure the polarization of the X-rays coming in. Now, what this means is that if you have a bunch of X-rays being generated near the surface of a black hole, they're going to have similar polarization to each other in this strong magnetic field versus X-rays coming from the surrounding area where the field is less intense. So as the X-rays come in, they can actually look at which of them come from certain types of regions. It's going to give us a new understanding about the layering of stuff in these areas of space where some particularly exotic physics take place. And if it turns out that the polarization of the X-rays is not what we think they should be based on the models, then the fun begins, because it means we don't understand how black holes work, and that would be awesome.
I can almost guarantee we don't.
Yeah. So we're going to either confirm something amazing or learn something amazing. There's almost no way this isn't going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is awesome.
Yeah. So they've been able to measure this stuff very, very roughly in the past, but this is going to be an absolutely fantastic little experiment. It's going to be cool. All right. So on the home stretch, we're in penis news. Turns out Viagra could be used to treat Alzheimer's disease, study suggests. Is Serenity back?
Oh yeah.
You're not going to say giggity?
No. I'm trying to behave. I'm trying to be good.
Okay, because you know what we need is a bunch of Viagra junkies walking around the old folks' home.
All I'm saying, does anybody know if Bob Dole, God rest his soul, before he passed, had Alzheimer's or not?
That's a good question. I hope he didn't.
Yeah, that will prove it.
Exactly.
Because he took Viagra. He took Viagra, and if he didn't have Alzheimer's, that proves Viagra cures it.
Yeah.
Exactly. He was the spokesperson for Viagra. Thank you, Skep, for being the one who got that.
He was, exactly.
So I could just imagine them handing out Pez dispensers full
You
of
can imagine
Viagra.
it?
Yeah.
That sounds like what you imagined in your open mind.
So did anybody here religiously watch Top Gear when it was the original crew?
Oh,
on,
yeah.
Do you remember that
yeah.
episode when they went to high altitudes, and in order to not get some sort of altitude
Yes.
sickness, they had to take Viagra because it changed the blood flow to the brain?
Yeah.
It kind of makes me wonder, because a lot of times with Alzheimer's, we're treating it like an inflammation disease.
Yeah.
We know that Viagra crosses the blood-brain barrier, and we know that it affects circulation of the brain. I don't think we understand why Viagra... We don't know what the mechanism is behind this, if it's even real.
I think it was a happy accident that they discovered that it went woohoo
Yeah.
in the southern border, but I think it also like
Southern border.
it helps women with something in that area as well. Like it just helps with more blood flow. So
Mhm.
women who have issues. I want to say at one point they tried to use it for I can never say the damn word. Indentured. It starts with the END. It's what women have a problem down there.
Endometriosis.
Thank you, Skep.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can never say it right because my brain keeps flipping letters. Supposedly, they're in the very beginning stages of testing to see if it also helps. Like small doses will help women with that too.
hmm
So it's like I think someone just made a happy accident with Viagra, but they focused on the wrong thing.
Well, it could be, like minoxidil was originally a blood pressure medicine.
Yeah.
Viagra was originally something was originally going to be a blood pressure medicine.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So if
They
lowering
found
the
out they
blood
raised the
pressure,
all right.
if lowering the blood pressure keeps the health of the vascular system in the brain in better shape, it might make a difference. There's a lot of ways this could work.
Yeah.
I have a funny story about that.
Viagra for everyone. Go ahead.
About that. When I was working as a manufacturer's representative, basically for Pfizer, although I was a company employee, I lived down the street from the sales rep for a company called Penwalt. They had this Penwalt Pharmaceuticals. They had this. They don't exist anymore because they had this drug that they had a patent on called minoxidil. And I used to see him all the time. We're both runners, and we'd see each other running, and we were out. I ran by his house, and he was out there, and I stopped, and we talked for a while. And he said, and I said, so how are your minoxidil cells? I thought he'd ask me about my mini press cells, and he says, oh, we just got some really interesting news about minoxidil. And I said, oh yeah, what's that? He said, it cures baldness. I said, what? And he said, yeah, it makes hair grow. I shit you not. And this little guy that was sitting there telling me, to my unbelieving face, I was utterly 100% to doubt this guy. I thought he had slipped his gears. I thought he was making stuff up. And I will never forget that day. I found out later on, this low pressure competitor was actually a potent generator of hair growth in men. Mm-hmm. And it was such a big deal that company got bought, and that's why Pfizer makes it now, I think. Or not Pfizer. Is it SmithKline? I can't remember.
Oh, it's multiple. It's generic now.
Oh, I know, but I mean who had the original patent when they bought?
I think it was Pfizer.
That company.
I don't remember. It was one of the big. It was one of the big ones.
I don't think it was Pfizer. I think it was SmithKline.
It was one of the bigger ones. I don't remember which one though.
Anyway,
it's been a while.
Anyway, it grows hair.
Well, so does Propecia, but it makes you so toxic that any woman that could be pregnant basically can't touch you.
British Pfizer scientists Peter Dunn and Albert Wood created a drug called sildenafil citrate that they believe will be useful. Yeah, they're the ones.
That's sildenafil.
Yeah, not the Viagra, but who created the minoxidil was the question.
Right, minoxidil.
Which company marketed minoxidil in the U.S.?
I can do that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have any royalty-free music I can play. We need to. I'm going to get some music on my soundboard that just for when Serenity's looking stuff up. I think that's a new effect I need to get.
Oh, good lord! Misspelling me, you stupid damn thing. Sorry. No, it was like, did you mean this? No, Google, I didn't mean that. You know what I meant, you asshole.
Yeah. I still think it's funny that Google sent me to this Sour Grapes article by the other guy about the batteries. It's like, really, top hit. The top hit about this battery thing is going to be this guy.
I'm not shocked. That's the way things go.
All right.
Yeah, no, it keeps.
Don't worry about it. We'll go on to the last piece of penis news, and then we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't even know which of you sent me this.
That was me.
Okay.
Now we know what you were looking at.
VR Studio launches high-tech sex dolls to take user to futuristic brothel. This all sounds absolutely terrible. Oh, look at this guy. He looks like a real keeper.
Looks like a man.
And his sex doll looks even sleazier than he does. Sex doll expert discusses assigning sexuality to dolls.
I was about to say something. I'm not going to say it because he'll probably get us kicked.
Yeah.
Keep my mouth shut.
Okay. Yes. So let's see.
Who forced him to buy that shirt?
Yeah, now a virtual reality porn studio has teamed up with a sex doll creator in Berlin, of course. to launch something completely different. Joined up with Kokeshi Cyberbrothel Berlin to merge the world of high sex tech sex dolls with VR.
What the fuck is wrong with German
Just
people?
Go join a club, learn to
hike. Skep, we didn't even nuke them.
Go bird watching. You know, there's so many people in the world that want to form like a real human connection. Just don't.
Can I just say that, people who've lived under fascist regimes and have come out on the other end develop some weird habits.
I'm beginning to think there was something that I'm going to get real dark, but I can say this because I am Jewish. I'm beginning to think the Jews ate something before they went into the centers So
Mhm.
when the ash went into the air, it just fucked Germany. Like that's what I'm beginning to think. Because
So
like,
it was their final solution.
yeah, it was basically their final fu. It's like we'll get you, motherfuckers, even in death. Like, did you see the name of
the
one?
Jews getting the last word as usual?
Exactly. Well, it's like one of the
Boy,
VR
boy.
thing is called the Doink. Or
Yeah,
was it
you're gonna-
Badoink?
Would you say it's an airing of the grievances?
Ah!
Oh God,
No,
no.
no,
Scroll.
no.
Jesus Christ!
It's not even Uncanny Valley. That's
This is all terrible. I don't know if there's enough.
Awful.
oh,
There's not enough Viagra in the world.
No, there's not. All right,
Kill
this is
that.
this is making me what these fine young ladies with the 1980s background. Yeah,
They
this
look
is
like they
awful.
came out of
Just
Cyberpunk 2077.
I'm making this go away now. This is
Yeah,
terrible.
Thank you.
I feel
Thank you.
dirty.
Yeah, I see the
As you
1980s
should.
sun back there.
Here, let's see. What do I
Wait.
have?
The
Sorry.
AT&T
Vaporwave,
updated
yeah.
logo.
I'm a banana. Okay,
There
let's
we
just go with that.
Yay!
Oh, God.
Okay. All right. So I think we're pretty much done. Anybody have anything else before we sign off?
The two most common things in the universe are hydrogen and human stupidity.
Yes.
And human, and there's a lot more hydrogen. There's a lot more human stupidity
There we
than
go.
hydrogen. In my
Yeah.
opinion.
I think one's more of a renewable resource. The human
Yeah, really.
stupidity.
It's if
That's what I'm
an,
saying, man. Stacey Abrams.
you know
God.
who said you
Better
know
than
who
nuclear.
said, you know who said that to Stephen Hawking? You ready for this? He said, "Mr. Hawking, I don't believe that the universe is made that the most common element in the universe is hydrogen. I believe it's human stupidity." You know who said that to Stephen Hawking? Frank Zappa.
Hmm.
I think he said it on the Mike Douglas show years and years ago.
There you go.
But he was paraphrasing an author. I don't remember who. No, it wasn't Voltaire.
There are many versions. Of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I've traced that down too, and yeah, it goes all over the place. Different people say, "No, I invented it." No, I invented it. And they're all just commonly discovering the,
Yeah.
a great truth about human beings is that we're
Infinitely stupid.
we're stupid in so many amazing ways.
And it's limitless. Like, generation after generation, we managed to push those boundaries. Of
Oh, yeah.
Geodes, this Daily Star thing is a great publication. I just scrolled down, and the article that they have here is, I kid you not, my worst first date, pooed in my car and his teeth fell out over dinner.
Good night, folks.
All right. I can't do better than that. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.